Yo, welcome to Hard Pass. I am your host, Jacques Slade. It's the show where everything is run like a well-oiled machine, like the New York Jets.
Friction, and this issue really has been building, Scott, for the last several months, not just the last several days when Christopher Johnson made this decision, actually last night made the decision that it was his job to fire Mike McCagnon and move on.
Or not. Or not like the New York Jets. Let's start with the jokes. I mean, the news. This is the news. Top stories of the week. Boston accents apparently have the second most sexiest accents in America, according to a survey of people who I'm guessing have never heard me, a SoCal native, turn on the sexy Jacques voice. You can make babies to that. Chris Rock has signed up to reboot the Saw franchise, which comes on the heels of other successful comedians like Jordan Peele breathing fresh air into the horror genre. Considering Rock's place in the culture at the moment, I'm guessing his first act of torture is just a live stream of him telling politically incorrect jokes and the internet trying to find a way to cancel him. Props, I guess, to Vita Coco's social media person for actually peeing into a jar to prove a point to an MMA fighter. I can't believe I said that out loud. It would be like I said boo to Taco Bell drive-thru guy who seriously rubbed his face on a chalupa to prove a point to Chrissy Teigen. In this week's edition of No, You're the One That's Getting Old, Scottie Pippen and Kenyon Martin's sons have committed to play for Vanderbilt for coach Jerry Stackhouse. Next thing you know, Penny Hardaway is Memphis's coach wearing foam-posite PEs with Mike Miller. They are. Thursday marked the release of the Nike Kyrie 5 Friends, a tribute colorway to one of the most popular sitcoms of the 90s and today. While Friends isn't a critical darling like Curb Your Enthusiasm, Friends has that universal appeal that spans generations with timeless characters that we can all relate to, even though, let's be honest, Living Single did it first and had a way better theme song.
Keep your head up, boy, keep your head up, that's right. Whenever this life gets up, you gotta fight with my homegirl standing to my left. Am I right? True blue, it's tight like glue.
We know Fortnite is the one that blew up, but remember PUBG? But it did get me to thinking, what if Friends was still on the air and had an episode called The One Where Ross's Son Was a Hypebeast, and Ben wanted to line up for the latest Supreme drop and had to bring along one of the friends? Let's break this down scientifically. Okay, so from the jump, Ben should immediately eliminate Rachel, Chandler, and Ross from the list. I like Rachel and Chandler just fine, but they're the type to eat a cheesecake on the ground, meaning they'd have no patience to wait in line with Ben.
Oh, hey, look, there's a piece that doesn't have flour on it.
Stick to your side.
Come on now.
All right, what are we having?
And considering Ross has somehow managed to screw up relationships with Rachel several times, Emily, Charlie, Julie, Ben's mom, Carol, and more, I wouldn't be surprised if Ben had trust issues with his dad. So that leaves Phoebe, Joey, and Monica. Phoebe would be the chaotic neutral because she has a sketchy past and is married to Ant-Man, which could be clutch in certain situations. Joey is by far the most loyal friend, and he would never abandon Ben under any circumstances, but he's also distracted by, shiny things.
It's like they're on fire.
Because no self-respecting adult would ever wear these.
I'll give you $500 for it.
So that leaves Ben with his aunt Monica, who is by far the most responsible of the bunch. Monica's OCD is often played for laughs in the show, but she's also framed as somebody who always wants what's best for the group, including winning at all costs. So I have no doubt, if Ben enlisted his aunt Monica to help, he would have the most prepared, middle-aged, hypebeast auntie there is, with multiple bots, a few paid-off kids in line so they can cop multiple pieces, and a flawless resale strategy for maximum profit. Let me know which friend you like to hang out with in the comments below. And now for our top story, which is really the top story every Saturday morning, the SNKRS app. SNKRS drama is nothing new. Everybody watching this has felt the pain of seeing the didn't get 'em screen with the condescending it didn't work out for you message after being told they were in line for anywhere from 5 minutes to 5 hours. That limbo when you're still in line straddles the feeling between hopeful exuberance and agonizing stress like no other. It's like being anxious days after a first date and wondering whether or not she's going to call you back. This past weekend's Air Jordan 1 collab with Travis Scott had the same fatalistic vibe like any other #Saturday, but the cries for change were a little louder this time. Not only were people getting the standard didn't get 'em message, there were reports of multiple users being logged off the app completely, issues with Apple Pay and credit cards, being deceived that the shoes were available after being sold out, and more. The failure for many immediately became a trending topic on Twitter, which has become the de facto therapy session for most of us sneakerheads and hypebeasts to commiserate and share our pain. We even got the CJ "Here we go again" meme treatment.
Oh shit, here we go again.
which is something I've grown to love and appreciate as somebody who's played through all of San Andreas. I've tried to reach out to Nike on the matter, and as of the shooting of this video, I have yet to hear back from them. Now, the other 99% of the time, both the standard Nike app and sneakers works just fine. Most of the time, it's as easy as picking out a pair and heading to the nearest flagship store to cop them without being bothered by Nike employees who are clearly way more fit than you are and totally aren't judging you when they see you got a pair of runners just to flex in. You also can't deny the surprise and joy you feel when you scroll through a story about a Jordan retro and then discover the Easter egg starts scratching like crazy and it lets you cop early. But it could be so much better. And yes, I realize it's a lot more complicated than Nike simply beefing up their infrastructure. The process of copying a hype sneaker has to be quick and efficient, like Giannis in the playoffs. If we got the pair, let us know within seconds so we can move on with the rest of our day. And if we didn't, can you break it down for us easier instead of the passive aggressive, it's not you, it's me. Maybe sneakers can tell me what I can do to be better next time. Give me stats like how fast my response time from the moment it became available to the time I tapped on the app to purchase. I need all the analytics and data, Nike. I'm not saying I'm going to James Harden the sneakers app because he's an Adidas guy, and that's kind of awkward. But until you come up with a solution like, say, making everything a draw, which is still rough, but at least you know your entry went through, or giving us a pre-order window and creating as many pairs as there is demand, everybody is going to either push the limits of your servers or just try to break everything with bots. Nobody wins here, Nike. It's like watching a show for 8 seasons and not seeing the signs, but more on that later. Whatever you decide to do, just know we'll be watching. If you're telling us to be our best selves and that it's only crazy until you do it, we expect you to do the same thing for your customers. And with that, you guys tell me how you think Nike can fix the sneakers app down in the comments below. And now for this week's Hard Pass, where we take a look at something in the culture that just needs to go. Like when a name trends on Twitter and you have that brief moment of dread before realizing it's just their birthday today. Hey Jack, if you're not gonna fix the rampant racism and misogyny, can you at least fix that? Anyways, Game of Thrones is ending this week, and while I wish I could talk in detail with you about who's going to win the throne, I can't because I haven't seen the show. However, through osmosis of being around people all day who won't shut up about thrones, I have learned a thing or two, like how Aquaman or Ramsey from the Fast and Furious have moments, and Eitri from Infinity War is kind of a thing. If anything, I'm most impressed with how they've taken over the term thrones from Kanye and Jay-Z. I will watch the finale though, just so I can be a part of the zeitgeist. It's kind of like when Seinfeld drew in huge ratings for their last episode because people of color gave in and finally checked out the show their white friends kept raving about. While I've heard there's a lot of misgivings about how the last few seasons have played out and felt rushed, this should still be a victory lap for all the hard work the actors and the production team put into making Thrones such an event for the culture.
Have you shot your final scenes yet, and are you happy with how things ended?
Yeah.
She didn't say yes.
Best season ever.
What I don't want to see are the showrunners, D.B. Weiss and David Benioff, working on things I actually care for, like, say, a new Star Wars trilogy coming in 2022. Weiss and Benioff are the recipients of this week's Hard Pass because while they've proven to be good stewards of adapted work on Thrones and other projects, the moment George R.R. Martin stalled in finishing the last 2 books and they had to finish the story on their own, fan reaction went off the rails, culminating with last week's penultimate episode where I got the same amount of explicative-laden text about Thrones that I do whenever the NBA screws over my beloved Los Angeles Lakers. And then there's the whole let's make a show about how the South won the Civil War thing that went over so well with the internet. It turns out Weiss and Benioff might be like Nike designers who have access to old Tinker Hatfield sketches and design documents. Sure, they can turn Tinker's scraps into gold, but the moment they strike out on their own, we get Jordans that look like this. While I don't agree with the current internet outrage that demands this last season of Thrones gets a do-over, we can learn from those mistakes and not allow Weiss and Benioff to sully the good name of another thing the culture adores. So this week's Hard Pass goes to 2 people whose show I've never seen, but I'm willing to make a value judgment about them anyways because I'm petty when it comes to George Lucas. Yeah, that sounds about right. Let me know who you think should get a crack at the next Star Wars trilogy down in the comments below. And don't say Kanye because he already dresses like a Sith Lord. And that's gonna do it for the show. Thank you guys for watching Hard Pass. I am Jacques Slade. Don't forget to like this video, say something nice about my fit, and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you, and heads up, Nike, I don't think Nick Kyrgios was mad about his match. I think he just took another L on his sneakers app. All right, guys, I'll see you next week. Peace.